All right, friends. Every now and then something happens which makes me an Islamophobic. I am not an Islamophobic, but it turns out to be that I like to talk about those matters. And that actually points towards one side of my personality and character. And people think that I'm Islamophobic or I'm the one hater. But I am not, as a matter of fact. But I always try to look for the reasons to look away, but somehow something happens which make me feel that uh, this is something for which I have to make a video or report it. And when I make a video or report it, my friends and my family members think that I'm just being uh, way too critical about it, or perhaps I'm Islamophobic, but I am not. Okay. Why I am making this video? Because I was not supposed to make any videos on UFC this time, but I am making because I am a big UFC fan, and I look forward to watching Dragos du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev, because to me it so far is the biggest fight of this year, 2025. So I was watching the press conference yesterday, and I found that Chicago crowd did not let anybody speak, generally speaking, except for Khamzat and Michael Venom Page. And then I found that they were all supportive of Khamzat and Michael Venom Page, MVP. And then in the end, something happened towards the end of the press conference, when they were doing face-offs, when Khamzat came in, and Dragos and Khamzat were like very close to each other, and they were looking down upon each other, and the stare down. They were not looking down upon each other. Wrong word. That stare down between Khamzat and Dragos du Plessis, and then Khamzat started saying shit, and then suddenly when he walked away, he started shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ooh, I didn't understand that. But then the crowd loved that too. And then I suddenly realized, like, okay, now the pieces have started falling into place. Like, why people were not letting the other fighters speak during the press conference, why everybody was booing and hooting when Dragos was trying to say something, and why everybody was cheering from Khamzat. So this was the Chicago's Muslim crowd, and Chicago's Muslim crowd was supporting a Muslim fighter, or both of the Muslim fighters, because as per my knowledge, allegedly MVP, when he was in prison, he accepted Islam, he accepted faith. You know, most of the time people, when they go to prison, even Mike Tyson changed his name to Malik Abdul Aziz. He's not Malik, and he doesn't know what is the meaning of Abdul Aziz, and he's now going by Mike Tyson's name. But when he was in prison, somebody met him. And all the good people, all the Dawa people, all the religious people, all the people who like to conquer the entire world through the word of God, which is Quran, they are found mostly in prisons. And then they are so convincing. And the people that they found around them are not criminals, but the good people who just visiting prison for different reasons. Anyway, that's a different topic. Let's go back to what Khamzat chanted, what Khamzat shouted, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and made it look like it was a fight between the Mormons, the Muslim Mormon, and the infidels. And you know, all the Jews and all the Christians are infidels. And then I found that there's a tribal connection between the Muslims of America in general and Muslims of Chicago, particularly to their Muslim brothers, naming Khamzat Chimaev and Dragos du Plessis. So Khamzat, being a Muslim, he didn't have to shout and chant Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I don't know what happened. Dana White hit him with his left hand on his stomach to tell him shut the fuck up, but he didn't. But and then after that, I was trying to show the video to somebody, the press conference, and then that particular Allahu Akbar chant was deleted. I couldn't find it again. And then somebody posted it from the personal camera Maybe it was a phone camera, and that shout was not that loud, but you can hear it due to strike. Uh, I'm not going to post that video, but you can all go and look at that press conference, and I think that if you're lucky enough, you'll find that chant. What I'm saying is that it's just a fight, but the tribal Muslim mentality always makes it a battle between the people of faith and the people who are infidels, people who are Christians or or Jews or any other religion. If they are not Muslims, then they are bound to go down. So um, I don't know what to say about it. I think there's deep hatred toward the rest of the world when it comes to Islam and loving your Islamic fighters. I've said it so many times about my previous videos that I grew up in Pakistan and I grew up watching Muhammad Ali's fights because he was Muslim, and that's why they showed Muhammad Ali fights. The moment Muhammad Ali retired or the moment he lost to Larry Holmes, they stopped showing fights. And then boxing had never been a sport in Pakistan. Nobody showed boxing. Um, Even Mike Tyson was never shown on TV. Thanks to the Dish TV later that people started watching boxing again. But Pakistan television was only sponsoring Muhammad Ali fights because Muhammad Ali was a Muslim fighter. So the love of Muslim for the Muslim is understandable, but the hatred of Muslim towards the other is beyond my understanding and comprehension. So this guy who is there, and when he was chanting Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, he looked more like a terrorist. You know, in Pakistan, when you say Allahu Akbar, and then you are wearing a suicide jacket, and then you let it go. Thank God that he was not wearing one. I thought maybe he was going to blow himself up, but that didn't happen. I hope that he's not going to wear one when he's going to fight to Dracus du Plessis tomorrow and go down. And I think I have another question to ask. Like, if he loses tomorrow, then what is going to happen to Allah? Like, that's a question that I always ask the Pakistani cricketers. Like, they say, oh, when they win the match, they just bow down and touch their forehead to the ground. They go to sajda and say thanks to God. Some of them, like Muhammad Rizwan, they like to pray then and there exactly where the pitch is. Pitch is the place where they play cricket. And then when they lose, and then they come back and then they give interview, and Allah was on my side, and Allah helped us, and Allah, helped us to crush the infidels and all that kind of nonsense, stupid shit. But when they lose, they never say that Allah lost today and when they're playing against India, they say Lord Krishna, or Allah lost to Bhagwan today, or Allah, when they play against England, they say Allah lost to God of England. Mostly Christians, but now they have lots of Muslim players. Yeah, they get the opportunity to play for England. That's the beauty of England, but they are suffering because of it, and they are going to suffer more because I have been telling this for 20 years when I was not doing these kind of podcasts, and I did not have this kind of ideology in my head that Muslims, but I knew the Muslims were going to destroy the West. And they are destroying the culture of the West. They are bringing in radicalism. They are bringing in fanaticism. They are bringing tribalism. They are bringing the very idea that, okay, we are going to chant only for Muslims. And the fighter, good fighter, it means nothing to us. Our emotions and our hearts and our minds always go with the people of faith, people of our faith, people of common faith. And if a Muslim is fighting against anybody else, the Muslim world is with the Muslim fighter. I think the Western people should try to understand it. As wokes and liberals and postmodernists in particular, especially when a city like Hamtramck, when they took off the LGBTQ flag off the pole, because all the city administration, the 6 members are Muslims, and they don't want transgenders and LGBTQ people over there, nobody talked about it. They only talk, these wokes, these liberals, these white people, whoever they are, they only talk when it is convenient for them, and they talk to their fellow people when it comes to really registering their protest or something which is related to their ideology and requires defending. They always run away because they know that they can't compete the violence of the Muslims. I hope that this thing, at least UFC, is going to stay away from it. I know that there are Muslim fighters, a lot of Muslim fighters, and that's one reason they like to fight in Dubai, because they get favors in Dubai. Even Corey Sandhagen said in Joe Rogan Experience once he said that he didn't want to fight in Abu Dhabi or Dubai, reason that they favor their Muslim fighters. So that's one reason Muslim fighters want to fight in Dubai, because they have their own crowd, and then they get away with this weight cut and their rules of weight cut, and they have more time to recover from weight cut. So there's so many things that they get favor of. But I mean, this is a sport, and this should not be contaminated with these kind of things. And Hamzat Chimaev was not allowed to enter the United States. The reasons were obvious. He had some connections with some people, and I don't want to say that, okay? But everybody knows why he was not allowed to come to the United States. Okay, Dana White is friends with President Trump, and he could pull a few strings to bring Hamzat Chimaev back to the United States. But Hamzat Chimaev should better know. Somebody should tell him. Even Dana White should tell him this is not the way to operate. And it's not a war. It's not a battle between the people of faith, the Mormons, and the infidels. It's just a simple fight. But you cannot convince Muslims. That's and if that makes me Islamophobic, if that makes me the critic of Islam, then so be it. But you can't help it. Yeah. That's why I always say all the good friends that I have, more than 95%, they are Muslim. They're nice people, the nicest when it comes to the ordinary practices and the lifestyle. But when it comes to these things, they suddenly become Muslims, they suddenly become radicals, they suddenly become fundamentals. That's the way of life. And that is how they are going to take the whole world. That's not my fear. That's a reality, and everybody has to have the ability to do the reality check. And these small things are the litmus tests for all those people who think that they are not radical, they are not fanatic, and they are not tribal. Well, enjoy UFC 319, and I hope the best fighter win. But my bets are on Dricus du Plessis. Have a good day.